Good afternoon. Welcome to Parenting Village's collaborative chat series. Parenting Village is a local nonprofit organization in the Rochester area. We're a program of Jewish Family Services of Rochester, and we offer programming to families who are transitioning or following their parenthood path, and we offer peer support to help them through this time frame. And I'm Parenting Village's Nurture Program Coordinator, Shawna Peterson. And today I'm here with Samantha and Kristina from the National Alliance for Mental Illness, also known as NAMI. Our topic today is the power of peer support. So Kristina and Samantha, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourselves and let us know maybe what your role with NAMI is? Samantha, I'll go to you first.
Great. So my name is Samantha Colson. I've actually been at NAMI almost a year now, so it'll be a year in September. And my role is really around suicide prevention program services and trainings that we offer, and helping as much as I can with other trainings and informational sessions that we have.
Thank you, Samantha. Thanks for being here today. And Kristina, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Kristina Mossgraber. I am the Director of Education and Community Outreach. I've been involved with NAMI since I think about 2012 in multiple capacities. Got involved as a volunteer through family. I was a special event coordinator, and I did education in the schools and outreach that way. And then last year took this role, and still feel really grateful to be really connected in the community and do presentations and trainings and pretty much anything that just kind of falls under education and community outreach. And I'm just thrilled that Sam's on our team and just excited about all the things we have yet to come.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. Part of this chat series is in an effort to kind of fill the void of our in-person family festival that we hold every year. This year would have been our 8th annual. So the idea is that we can still bring the educational and fundraising component of the Family Fest here. So in these chats and some of the other virtual options that Parenting Village is offering online. So one of the things, as I mentioned, that we were going to talk about today was the power of peer support. And I know just from my work as the Nurture Program Coordinator with Parenting Village, and as my experience as a mom with 3 young kiddos, like the value of peer support and what that can do to kind of get you through different ups and downs as you go through in life. So I'm curious to hear from both of you maybe what your experience has been with peer support, whether it's been on a personal level or a professional level, and maybe what you acknowledge that power of the peer support is. Kristina, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. So I will speak, I think I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone living with a mental health condition and being a family member of one as well. So I'm not a parent, I'm a doggy mama. I have, 2 awesome dogs, but I can definitely speak from that perspective of the power of the lived experience connection of peers, because in the mental health system, it can be, a lot of times it's very difficult to navigate. It can be very intimidating or overwhelming, especially, for your first time through it. And so in mental health, we have what are called peer specialists or peer advocates. There's also family advocates and family specialists, but they're all people who've been there. And so they've walked the journey. And so whereas the professional treatment team is amazing, there's nothing, I guess, in my opinion, like people who can say, wow, I've been there and you can get through this. And so for me, that was a big part of my recovery, is meeting peers that, that could say, I lost my job in my 30s too, you can rebuild. And I was like, whoa, really? So there's just this beautiful connection and this power of someone who has been there and, can reassure you from a totally different perspective than the professional team, which again is integral and amazing. But just having that person who has been there, it's huge. And the bonds and the connection, and I feel so honored to do that in my role too. I spend a lot of time talking with peers, and the fact that I can now turn around and give back to people who are starting the same journey or navigating that same journey. But I think peer support's a very, very powerful tool.
Thank you for sharing that. And your example that I'm listening to as far as like, oh, you're getting a new job in your 30s, and yes, you can do that. And like just thinking about where we are at currently with COVID and the pandemic and the things that people are going to be experiencing. So just having people that have shared experiences and can really build you and boost you during that time is so valuable. And it sounds like it has been great for you in many levels. Thank you for sharing that. Samantha, what is your experience with peer support?
Yeah, so I come from the perspective of, as a family member of someone who has a mental illness, anxiety and depression to be exact. And just peer support offers that level of acceptance and understanding and validation that other relationships and other professional relationships just don't offer. And what was comforting to me and what really helped me kind of see the big picture was this quote. And the individual says, psychiatrists and therapists, they can tell you about the ocean, because they've read about it and they've seen it, but a peer can tell you what the water feels like. And that really, to me, sets the tone of the difference. Like there's a place for both of those things, but that level of peer support just provides that insight that others really don't have and they really can't see.
Thank you. That's an incredible quote. I'm going to have to jot that down for myself later. Thank you for sharing that. Thinking about NAMI and the work that you both do, I'm curious about knowing more about what NAMI does with peer support and how can families in our community maybe connect with NAMI to receive peer support, whether it's from a personal experience dealing with mental illness or being a family member of somebody who's experiencing it.
So one of the wonderful things about NAMI is that it really is, there's like 3 of us on staff, and the people who deliver the groups and the meetings and all the classes and everything are volunteers essentially, and they are people with lived experience, and they are peers themselves, or usually you call somebody who lives with a mental health condition a peer, and then the family members are, they kind of delineate, but we're all, in my opinion, we're all peers if we have the same experience. And so we have family members who lead all the family programs and the family groups, peers lead the peer groups and the peer support groups and classes. And I just think that's such a special model because, again, you can go, I went through a lot of groups with the wonderful social workers and stuff, and you'd say, I don't know what to say to you because I've never experienced that. And I appreciate that honesty because I'm a big believer of when in doubt, tell the truth. And you don't know what to say sometimes, but most of the time, when you go to a group at NAMI or you go to a class at NAMI, somebody in the room, whether it's the person who's leading it or another family member or peer, says, wow, me too. Wow, you spent 2 days in the psychiatric emergency department with your loved one. I thought I was the only one. Me too. And I can't tell you how many times I've been part of groups or sessions or anything where it's just incredible, and it's such an honor to see the relief on people's faces when they have that experience of, I thought I was the only one. I've had a woman, this one always just kind of sticks with me, and I had a woman a couple of years ago say to me that, and she worked in the mental health field, and she had a son who lived with mental illness and had really struggled and was really very actively, they were in crisis and really just trying to navigate. And she came to NAMI and she came to our classes and our groups, and she said, I felt like an alien on a different planet among my colleagues and my friends and my family. And I came to NAMI and I felt accepted, and I felt, I knew I was in the right place. And that's just, again, something that I find so comforting about the work we do and part of the mission of our agency. And I know you asked, if people wanted to get involved. So our doors are closed right now, but everything is online. So we have a lot of online options for our signature programs and our support groups. And people can visit our website at namirock.org and get connected. And I'm actually going to now toss it to Sam to talk about some things we've got kind of coming down the pike, or that some trainings and community offerings that we will, we're really excited to be talking about too.
Thanks, Kristina. I'd just like to add just to piggyback off of what she was saying through those peer support groups, just the longevity around connection that the participants make with one another. And you hear that echoed around the community. So if I'm out and people kind of ask me what I do or where I'm at, and I share that I'm with NAMI, there's usually always one person that'll say, you know, I went through this program and I loved it, or so-and-so went through this program and it really helped them. And just even answering the phone from time to time, you hear that just constantly. And it's so reassuring that the work that we do is important and it makes a difference on so many levels. It touches so many lives. The reverberations with that is so impactful. So on my side of things, I'm excited that we are able to now move forward with a lot of virtual trainings that we have to offer, such as youth mental health first aid. They finally gave the clearance on a national level to offer that virtually, so we will be able to offer that through NAMI on a virtual platform. We also are looking to offer more school-based kind of virtual programs that can really pertain to parents, whether they've had experience with someone that has struggled with mental illness or not. They just want to have more information about it. So we're looking to share that out as well. And that's around the mental health literacy curriculum, which is out of Canada. They also call it teen mental health. So we're excited to share that on a parent note, on a teacher note as well, and a district level, and just any type of training that we can develop a la carte for schools around suicide prevention or mental health awareness. That is our specialty. So we would love to get that out there and share that with people as needed.
Wow, it sounds like you guys are very busy and doing incredible work in our community. I can't thank you guys enough for what you do. And I think about all of the families that I'm connected with, whether it's through facilitating circles, one of our support groups, or involved with the nurture program, our in-home peer-based support program. There's many families who are struggling, whether it's, you know, the primary caregiver or somebody else within the family who needs some support. So I love to hear that you guys have so many different options for people, and I'm just thankful for this as a resource to pass along to some of the families I work with. So thank you so much. One of the things about peer support that I was thinking about recently was how much our circles offer that. So they're drop-in support groups, and they used to be held in person, but currently are virtual as well. And you guys were talking a little bit about the long-term connection that gets made through these opportunities. And I've seen that so many times with the participants that have been involved with the circles, and how valuable that is. And just the other night, we had a couple different circles in one day, and the ability to hear the mom say, yes, I get it, I've been there, I know what you're going through. Or maybe it's a completely different circumstance, but the feeling is similar. And just to be able to acknowledge that with one another was so powerful just to witness. So we see that a lot in our circles as well. And then through the nurture program, the in-home piece, we see these families develop a relationship with a volunteer over 3 months. And these volunteers have had similar experiences. You know, they've parented themselves. Maybe it's a volunteer who had twins and they are working with a family who has twins, or a family is struggling with breastfeeding or sleep issues or mental health related issues, and the volunteers have maybe had some like experiences. So being able to be there and say, you know, you've got this, I've been there, I hear you, offering that non-judgmental presence can go so far. So I love that we have these organizations in the community, and I feel thankful that we can tap into them, especially during this time. So is there anything else that either one of you guys would like to share or let the community be aware of about NAMI or your specific roles or peer support in general?
I guess I always would feel remiss if I didn't just take any opportunity to let people know that if you're struggling with your mental health, that it's not your fault, and it's not a weakness. And, you know, reaching out and getting help is so important. And, you know, we're here for that. There are so many community resources we can help connect people to. I always tell people, if NAMI doesn't have it, we'll help you find it. That's a lot of what we do, is connect people to other resources in town. But just, you know, for anybody who may be watching this that may be struggling, just please know that reaching out it's so hard, but it is so beneficial, and it is so it is such a strong, brave thing to do. So I always just, because you just never know who's watching this. You know, I always think if you touch one person in some way, you know, and sometimes it's just that reminder that you're not alone and there are people out there to help you and there's resources to help you. So especially during this time of COVID, I think that I think a lot of us are living with just a baseline anxiety, you know, and it's important to name it and talk about it, acknowledge it, and find a place to talk about it. So so that's just always just a little reminder to everybody, reaching out is so important, and there's resources available.
Yeah, and even just a quick shout out to all of our volunteers for all of the work that they do, you know, every day, and just with programming. And they are the ones that, you know, answer the phone. And like Kristina said, if we don't have it with us, they will definitely say, well, I use this, or I know someone who used that can help you. So they're definitely a wealth of knowledge. So shout out to them.
A well-deserved shout out for sure. Well, thank you so much, Kristina and Samantha, for collaborating with us to offer this discussion, the awareness, and hopefully touching some people in our community with this information. This series is one of many virtual events going on to acknowledge the cancellation of our eighth annual Family Fest, where we connect families with local resources and businesses. That's usually done in a playful, social, fun way to create income for Parenting Village. While we have been creative in continuing to support and connect families, we're still in need of funds to keep going. We're constantly thinking about new ways to kind of pivot what we're currently doing or what we were offering, and to really support families where they are right now during this time. So our Nurture and Circles programming are offered free to participants, allowing them to benefit from peer support whenever they need it. So in order to train our volunteers and make sure that these families are being supported, we still need to be able to fundraise. So we need your help. If there's any interest at all, please consider supporting Parenting Village by clicking the donate button on our Facebook page, or visiting our website at parentingvillage.org/donate. This series is part of a larger lemonade stand campaign with family-friendly events happening throughout July and August. Don't miss out. Thanks again, and stay well. Bye.